So here we have another one, another Dragon Isles leak for the next expansion. I haven't read this one. I think it's fairly short. Yeah. So here we go. Another one. 10.0 Return of the Dragon Isles. Ooh. I was a WoW dev. I was a dev on WoW until just last week. I've been with Blizz for over a decade, and I've always wanted to do this. Here is the next expansion. Also, I did notice in the comments, unfortunately, no Tinker. We have a leak and no Tinker or anything like that. So, but there's actually another class that people have wanted to see, and what do you know? It pops up here. What do you know? All these leaks just happen to have classes that people want to see. Obviously, we've been working on this since before Shadowlands launched, and original schedule was to have it announced at BlizzCon 2021. As you know, live BlizzCons aren't possible right now, and the return to Dragon Isles was set to be the main announcement at a February 2022 BlizzCon Online. Before it was also canceled. Other games that were due to be revealed are way behind, so they shelved the event. Instead, there will be a standalone reveal in March, soon after 9.2, which we've actually heard before, which would make sense anyway. So, I mean, it's not hard to make these kind of predictions. Shadowlands ending. At the end of the Sepulchre of the first ones, the jailer is defeated, and the cinematic shows the heroes, with a little help from a certain Banshee, use the power of the Sepulchre that Zovaal was trying to harness against him, unmaking him to his original prototype state. Sylvanas surrenders herself over to the judgment of Tyrande, who forgoes revenge and demands only one thing, that the Ranger General spend her days helping all those she wronged and putting right everything she helped destroy. Sylvanas agrees and vows to begin with Nathanos. So, I mean, that part, it's not hard to maybe make up, because we do know that Tyrande forgives her. And she does mention about going off and possibly trying to find Nathanos wherever he's gone to, because we haven't seen him since Tyrande killed him. We thought he would just be sent to the Shadowlands and, you know, we'd see him in the mall somewhere, you know, Torghast or something, but no. Nathanos hasn't popped up yet, so he's still, he's still at large. But Tyrande, there's been voice lines of her saying, basically forgiving Sylvanas, and, something Tyrande would totally do. Especially she's been so hell-bent on destroying and killing Sylvanas, she'd be like, oh yeah, you murdered my people, burned down my tree, and did all this terrible stuff, but I forgive you, because you helped take down Zovaal. Begins with Thanos, return to the Dragon Isles. Returning is an important concept of the X-Pack. We return to Azeroth, we return to some abandoned cities, and the Dragon Isles make their dramatic return. We also hope players will see it as a return to form of that after that disappointing reception of Shadowlands. New continent, the Dragon Isles. Surprise! Yeah, Zovaal failed in his attempts to use the power of Azeroth's World Soul to unmake the cycle of life and death, but he caused enough damage to rouse an ancient force. Ooh. The slumbering Dragon Isles have awoken. How and why exactly these isles have magically reappeared between Zandalar and the Maelstrom is explained in the leveling story, but the isles themselves have been separated and untouched for thousands of years. As such, they are like a WoW version of the Galapagos Islands, a place where evolution took its own course, filled with incredible and exotic beasts. The giant cat mount on the store is one of those new creatures you'll see, as well as huge tortoise birds of paradise. I love Birds of Paradise. We actually, when I worked at SeaWorld, you make when you have glasses, you fold up like the napkins to fit them into and you fold it up to make it look like a bird of paradise. It's really cool. Look it up when you have a chance. They're really pretty. But so tortoises, birds of paradise, a new race of humanoids that are inspired by giant marine iguanas, who are feeding what they think is an old god in one of the old temples in their zone. One zone is full of penguins, and of course the dragons. Aye, dragons! These dragons come in different colors, but won't belong to any of the dragon flight. Which, I mean, that would make sense since these were probably, before that. And since they took a different evolutionary path, we're not going to have bronze dragons or it's going to be like anywhere else where you have different types of dragons that don't belong to any one of those flights. They are ancient and see themselves as superior to any other life on the planet. They refuse to lower themselves to taking humanoid forms and look down on Rathion and the other dragons that do. Whereas some are able to be won over and become allies, the blood dragons of the Shattered Peaks, the maximal zone, believe Azeroth can only be saved with themselves in charge. They plan to birth the World Soul, which they call Mother. They are the main enemies in the first part of the X-Pack. There are new dragon models, really detailed and gnarled looking, and some are absolutely massive. I mean, one would assume if you're living on this and you don't have any real predators, and you don't have any kind of, I mean, it's evolution. If you don't have anything, building up and being built around you and you're able to just live, naturally you're just going to be able to grow. Look at sea creatures. You have all this area, plenty of oxygen, plenty of food, and they can just grow. So, features. Return to Teldrassil in the Undercity. This is the big feature of the expansion player. Okay, you lost me. It sounded good at first when he said player housing. Players help to rebuild and repopulate the two cities in the system that is comparable on player housing in ESO, i.e. there are set plots which are phased for each character. The first location is given free as part of the questing, and other more impressive and meaningful locations will be unlocked with special achievements tied to raiding, Mythic Plus, PvP, etc. Well, then if that's true, then I'm not getting it because I don't raid, I don't do Mythic Plus, and I don't PvP. The players fill them with trophies from boss kills, weapons transmogs on their weapon rack, and furniture that is made by crafters. New profession, carpentry. Okay, is a big part of this, and in general, all professions in RDI have a ton of new player housing items that can be made, they can make, apart from cooking fires and anvils, etc. All furniture is purely aesthetic. There's no mines or herb gardens or banks available like in WoD garrisons. As the expansion goes on, so the two cities are rebuilt. The new designs and assets look amazing. The idea is in the subsequent expansions and later on, maybe later in RDI. Other locations can be made available as and when. Currently penciled in our Borealis, Dazar Lore, and Grizzly Hills. God, I love Grizzly Hills. I mean, ask anyone one of their favorite zones, and most of them will probably say Grizzly Hills. Just the aesthetic of it, the music. I mean, the music alone. Just sit in one area, turn sound down like every other sound, have the music and ambiance up, and I'm happy. Like, seriously. Lots of zones are being updated in the old world with assets that are being made for player housing. So trees and buildings in places like Elven Forest, Westfall, Ashenvale, Eastern Plaguelands, etc. will find themselves with what we are calling eternally soft updated. Soft updated. New race and class, Dark Rangers. Again, another one that people have wanted to see for ages. 4 Dark Rangers are red-eyed elves you know and love. Alliance get the Forsaken Night Elves that were raised at Darkshore. 2 new specs, ranged and melee, based on high mobility and simple fast rotations. The real twist is that each spec has different abilities available to use depending on whether they have leather or mail armor equipped. The Undercity being populated and repopulated and rebuilt, the Forsaken have a lot of secondary story focus in RDI, and Undead Night Elf Rangers being welcomed back into Teldrassil is a big plot point that mirrors Tyranda's merciful actions towards Sylvanas. New raid, the Shattered Peaks. I'm not going to say anything. Just thought of something, but I'm not going to do it. Stunning location built around the jagged mountains of the Blood Dragon Zone. Blood Dragons are huge and hate mortals, but they also love gold and have huge fiery refineries. Try to say that 5 times fast. They may just be a creeping fell influence hiding under the surface there too. Okay, so they're saying that there might be some like possible Burning Legion stuff. One fight sees the sky filled with hundreds of dragons. The final boss fight of the raid is High Prophet Zubeka, ancient ruler of the Isles, which sets up the more cosmic 10.1. Please no. I mean, this isn't going to happen, but why? Why would you want to go back to an expansion and do something cosmic the very first patch? I don't want a cosmic expansion at all. If you do have something that's going to be cosmic, you set that up at the fucking end of the expansion. Let people enjoy Azeroth again. Don't have this fucking cosmic being or entity or threat in the, especially the first patch of a, no. That's where that's another place where it loses me. The player housing, Dark Rangers, no. Time walking, all time walking dungeons and raids, and there are lots more being made available. You don't say. Are permanently open and scaled to level 50, new level cap is 70. You don't say. Time walking tokens can now be used to buy just about any transmog set, weapon, and raid drop mount for each expansion from the appropriate vendor. There are some exceptions to this. There's no invincible on the vendor, but tusks of Manaroth are currently planned to be. That's another one that people are still, grinding for, the tusks. The tusks of Manaroth, the shoulder plates, the shoulder that Garrosh had. Back when Siege of Orgrimmar first came out, people were trying to do that any chance they got. So it's really cool looking. So I can understand why. Tests of Manaroth and blah blah blah. Every 2 weeks, a different expansion will be the focus of an event, which gives extra rewards for completing the appropriate dungeons and raids. Dragon scale gear. Oh, here we go. The main max level progression system. Yay! More grinding. Players are given a dragon scale from each of the 5 dragon flights, each of which award a new ability. The scales fit into a new special armor slot on the UI and can be leveled through currency gain from all gameplay activities, even crafting. And here's where it loses me again, because we remember how amazing Azerite gear was. Only one scale can be equipped at a time. The Black Dragon scales is a PvP ability. The green scale is healing, survival ability, etc. I'll be honest, this still still needs a bit of work, but it's the kind of thing the beta and player feedback should really help with. I mean, the idea in itself is kind of cool. You have 5 dragon flights. Each one gives you a scale that you can craft into gear, and each one will give you, you know, special bonus or ability. But if it's one of those things like with Azerite, it's just no, no. Stop it. Get some help. There are, of course, new dungeons. Everyone is especially excited about the Ravenous Fold, a descent into the Old God Temple at the center of the Aguadian Stone Zone. Imagine jumping to the Salak Pit from Star Wars, but it's full of N'Zoth tentacles, and there's a major lore surprise at the bottom. He has a butthole! One thing I can say is that the team has been having a whole lot of fun working on RDI. After Shadowlands, it's been awesome to make fun stuff in Azeroth again, and RDI really feels like a Warcraft expansion. If it makes sense, if that makes sense. I'm kind of expecting this to get lost in the flood of fake leaks right now, and that's fine. I look forward to people coming back to when the expansion is announced. Seem a bit confident there, sir. I mean, they do seem confident, and confidence is key. But, of course, they're always confident, and then... But, yeah, you had me... Like, the concept is interesting. Player housing, no. Dark Rangers, no. Fucking, another grindy gear type thing, no. I mean, because, you know, Blizzard says that they learn and everything, but, you know, you look at the Covenant system, and people were getting tired of that. It's like, I'm so tired of having to level up and this and that, and, you know, before that, we had fucking Azerite. I mean, the only time that they added, you know, stuff to level was like back when it started with the Legion, with the artifact system. It was actually worth it because it made you super powerful. The skills and the stats it gave you were insane, and it really felt like you were making progress, even if, you know, you weren't some of those people who were leveling up as much as possible. You still felt strong. But with Azerite gear, you're like, okay, I have all the best things in slot. I have all the best talents. Why do I still feel weak? You know, it's... And then we have stuff like the Covenant system, and also with the Heart of Azeroth, having to level that shit up. It's just... Yeah. Yeah. Fucking... You know, between having to level up the Heart of Azeroth and the Azerite gear, with their bull crap, the freaking stupid choices that it's like, oh boy, you gain like 88 leech, and it's like, who cares? It's like, I don't want that. You get a shield for like 3 seconds. Congratulations, guys. But I don't. Like I said, it's not like it's gonna happen. I mean, some of this stuff might make it in. Like like I said before, we already know this stuff was, you know, like with Tyrande and everything. We know that she's gonna forgive Sylvanas, so that's, you know. But yeah, just another leak. So, anyways, what do you think? Let me know. You guys know the drill. I'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.